Well, it's Friday night, just coming up to 8 p.m. Beautiful night out. I'm having a nice night in, lapping in some valves. So, making progress. We'll be out here for quite a few more hours. Alright, Saturday, August 15th, early morning, 7:45, and this is what we're doing today. We're going to clean the storage shed out. I need to find a few parts. Got to get an exhaust out of here, got to find a starter in here, and we'll look for a bunch of other little bits that might be usable for the car. I think I have a yellow fan in here. Might be better than the one I have. So anyway, we're going to go through, clean this out, reorganize it, and put it all back in, hopefully within a few hours. So we'll get to work before it gets too hot in the day. Alright guys, 20 after 11, and we've got mostly everything back in. And I can actually get to stuff now, which is good, and I've got it sort of organized by TR3 parts and TR6 parts. I got lots of gardening stuff, and I don't know why, because I don't do a lot of gardening. I'd prefer working on the car versus gardening. Anyway, so that's looking better, and we've got a little bit of space to work with and to step into. Still have some patio cushions to go in there. Got a couple empty bins. Got a couple bags of trash in the back of the truck. Pulled out a couple of exhaust systems that I had. So this one is a Monza, I believe, and this one will probably be going away for sale. I did find my starters. I have a pretty good selection of starters apparently. So I've got 4 what I believe to be TR6 starters. We'll have to check the part numbers on them and look them up, but I think they're all TR6 starters. So one of those 4 will be good. I know for sure because one of them is definitely off my 73 TR6. Then the icing on the cake, the original made in Italy Ansa exhaust that I found for sale, I think it was a couple hours away actually, and went to pick it up. It'd been on the guy's shelf for something like 30 years, so it's in pretty good shape. Got a little bit of a dent in one of the tips that I can probably pound out, and the chrome's a little iffy there, but original sticker still on it, so there you go. Ansa TR0820, made in Italy. So that will be going on the 250, so I'm looking forward to that. This one has the orange, so it's got orange tips on it. See that? Anyway, pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting that on the car eventually. Alright guys, that's it for now. 11:20, probably time for breakfast, I would say. Alright guys, just taking a little bit of a break from while cleaning and organizing and working on the valves, and I figured I'd start looking ahead on the project a little bit. And the next step really will be to get the block in the frame along with the transmission. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I pulled out my newly painted parts, my newly purchased parts, just getting together the hardware for them all, because they don't come with any nuts or washers or lock washers, for example. So here are the old components, still bagged, still dirty, and we're just finding new nylocks for them, etc. The old motor mounts there, they're actually not in too bad a shape. You could probably almost reuse these if you wanted to. The rubber is probably better than today's rubber. These are probably, I don't know, this one's a little cracked, but these will probably stand up a lot longer than the ones would today. These apparently are uprated ones. They are from the Roadster factory. I don't know what the part number is off the top of my head. It looks like HP6. It's a little wrinkly, 613. Yeah, it's actually stamped on here, HP613. So Roadster factory, uprated motor mounts. Got the rear trans mount here as well. These are the for the block, to mount to the block. We'll show you how that all goes together at a later date, but I thought I would start working on getting that together. I think the head's going to have to probably go out and get the guides done. Again, I'm going to take another measurement before we determine that. Been a lot of discussion about how we measured the valves, and you know, when we actually put the dial indicator on the valve, we weren't actually even sure if that's the way that you were supposed to measure the valve, so we did it very quickly. I know it was on a bit of an angle as well, and I know it's supposed to be straight onto it. We didn't know the height of the valve at that particular time, so there's been a lot of discussion on the channel, as well as a lot of messages from various people saying that we should have measured it differently, blah blah blah. I've watched a few videos and asked a few more questions, so Anyway, I haven't decided on the valve guides yet, but it's probably leaning towards putting new guides in, which will entail me taking this up to the machine shop because I don't have a press to press them out, etc., etc. The only thing I'm worried about is there is one machine shop locally, and they're pretty backed up. They're probably about almost a month lead time for them to even look at stuff. So that's my only concern. But if I can waylay that concern a little bit by sort of moving along on different parts of the project, so that means putting the block into the chassis without the head on it, at least we can mount the flywheel and the trans, etc., and get that in, and then when we get the head back, we can just pop the head back on. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. That's a quick update. So we are working on here, working on small parts, nothing too exciting, but we'll bring you back once I figure out all the fasteners for the various locations. I'm going to break out the spare parts catalog and just go through and make sure that I've got everything correct here before we move on. Alright guys, just sitting beside the engine block here, and I'm just going to relay a little story to you. I told Lynn that I wasn't going to tell it, but this may help somebody along the line. So I'm pretty familiar with these cars, and I've torn quite a few of them apart, and I still make mistakes. And obviously you can see that in some of my videos, and there's always room to learn. So anyway, I thought I'd share one of my faux pas with you, and it could have been major, but who managed to fix it with the help of Lynn. So let me go back to the beginning. So I've added a few more things here, including this oil pressure switch and this big plug here. And of course the oil pressure relief valve is here as well. And then I've also I've got a brand new, this is the oil pressure line to the gauge, the feed line to the gauge, which screws into this port here. So when I was going about putting the oil gallery plugs back in the block, I had actually put a plug in here by mistake, where this actual feed line goes. To be honest with you, this car actually had a fitting like this, which is for an auxiliary oil feed line to the head. So not only does it feed the auxiliary line to the head, it also feeds the line to the gauge. Anyway, I haven't decided whether I'm going to go back with the oil feed line to the head. There are mixed reviews on that, so I currently haven't installed it. But anyway, that's just part of the story. So I put that plug in the end here with the here's what the oil gallery plugs look like if you've never seen them before. They're short plugs like this. Okay, so I put the plug in, I put some thread sealant on, and screwed it in, and then I realized that I put that oil gallery plug in the wrong place. So I went to take it out. Of course, I couldn't get it out. Plug was stripped by the time I had played around trying to get it out. I even went so far as heating it with a torch, burnt my paint, and I've since repainted it. I could not get it out. I tried pretty much everything. Larger hex wrench on it, pounding it in. I tried some easy outs on it. I tried heating it, as I mentioned. I tried grabbing it with vice grips, etc., etc. And it was getting to the point where I was thinking that I wasn't going to be able to get the plug out without drilling it out, which would have been bad, because obviously you don't want to get any shavings from a drill in the oil gallery in behind this plug. So that was where the story could have turned really badly. So anyway, our last option was to weld something to the little plug. So you can imagine it's a little difficult to weld to this little oil gallery plug here. So anyway, fortunately, long story short, we were successful in welding a bolt to the oil gallery plug, and we were able to get that plug out and then put the correct fitting back in there. So that was a real ordeal. Not only just the stress level, but the fact that I'd actually had my welder packed away in the trailer. The bottles were both out of gas. You know, just having to get the welder out, hook the gas bottles up to find out they were empty or had very, very little gas in them. Had to swap the bottles back and forth just to get enough gas to weld that on. So it was quite an ordeal. And really that all stemmed from me forgetting that, and I was talking myself into it, that this plug here, which is actually just a big plug, and I've put the plug back in, I actually had this plug in a baggie, and I thought to myself, I don't remember taking that out. I actually had no label on the baggie, so must have been having a bad day or something, or it's possible the machine shop took this out and just threw it in the piston box with the other oil gallery plugs that they removed, and I kind of removed it from the box, and I didn't make record of the fact that they'd returned it. Anyway, long story short, I thought that the oil pressure switch, I had talked myself into it, that the oil pressure switch actually went in this fitting. But when you look at the threads, obviously, on the oil pressure gauge, they're much, much smaller than the threads here for this plug. So anyway, after some discussion with Lynn and him checking on his TR6s that he has in his shop, it was decided that this is the correct area for this plug. So anyway, so I've refitted that up there, plug this port, fix that, and a few other little things. So I know it's kind of a little bit of a long story, but it's just wanted to relay that to you, that things don't always go as smoothly, and things don't necessarily always go as you plan. It's you know, how you basically fix things in the end. And I was lucky that the welding on the oil gallery plug worked for me. Anyway, just thought I'd share that story with you. Alright guys, end of night update, just coming up to 8:30. So we did manage to get the left-hand side engine mount installed on the block. And unfortunately, since the engine block is currently mounted on the engine stand on this side, I won't be able to mount the other side until we get this engine off the stand, if that makes sense. So I think we're going to try to maybe do that tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. At the same time, I think the plan will be to grab the transmission out of the trailer where I've got it stored. We'll have a quick look at that. Transmission has been cleaned up. I may want to take a look at some of the seals. I do have some new gaskets for it. I also want to do the cross-drilled shaft to prevent any problems in the future with the braking pin in the cross shaft. So there's adaptation that I think I've shown you previously on, I think my TR3, I think I showed it to you on. Anyway, we'll do the cross shaft drilling and the bolt with nylock nut as a safety measure. So we'll show you that when we get to that point. I do have all the clutch components ready to go. I actually found my little pilot clutch centering tool over there and just stuck it in the pilot bushing to make sure it fit properly, and it does. So I'm happy with that. So I think that'll be it for today. Again, I don't know how much content I have, and a lot of it was cleaning out and organizing today. So anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll see what we've got, and if I think there's enough to upload, we'll upload this tonight just so you can see that I was out here, and then we'll start fresh tomorrow. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for commenting. We'll talk to you later.